Hello, I'm Therese Alexander-Ssebagala, licensed clinical social worker with the town of Groton. I work with Youth and Family Services Program. Today is our very first Groton Human Services Family Talks. Today we will address how families can stay strong in mind and body through this COVID-19 pandemic. Here with me today is my colleague, Stephen Pulaski. Hi, Stephen. Will you introduce yourself, please?
Sure, my name is Stephen Pulaski. I'm a youth and family counselor with the Department of Human Services, and I'm here to talk about mind and body related to the COVID pandemic.
Thank you. And we like to just give a little bit of details to the audience. We're starting today to discuss Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And Stephen, please share with us what the importance of Maslow's hierarchy of needs how it would pertain to families.
Sure. So Abraham Maslow was actually a psychologist and professor in the 1900s. I believe he passed away in 1970. And one of the things he came up with was a hierarchy of needs. And as you can see in the picture, what he thought was that you need to address your basic needs first before you address your higher needs. And so if you think about a family, say this in Groton, it could be a single parent family, a step family, it could be a traditional family. And you look at them on a daily basis, the first need is your physiological needs. Do you have food, water, shelter? Do you have health and well-being? Because if you're not healthy, it's going to be hard to run the house, for example. And if those needs are met, then it goes up to the next hierarchical pattern, which is the safety. And again, as you can see in the picture, that's really more about how to keep the house in order. You have the basic needs met, physiological need. Now you can look at safety. Do you feel safe in the house? Do you have resources to get to your work, such as transportation or access to transportation? And do you have money coming in to pay the bills? That's what relates to safety. And as you see in the chart, it goes up to 3 more levels: love and belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. And love and belonging is really important because as with your family, you want to feel connected, you want to feel trust, you want to feel affirmed, you want to feel affectionate to each other. So in a nutshell, if you look at from a COVID-19 point of view, last year was normal patterns. Parents would drop their kids off the school bus, go to work, come back home, and they either pick up their child at the school bus or at home. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hit. And what's important to learn is that this new normal is more about how to renegotiate your family related to those needs. A parent might be on furlough. The schools are going hybrid now. And for kids, I feel like the steps of love and belonging and esteem are affected because the kids feel bonded to their classmates at school. And all of a sudden they're coming home. And I think in the town of Groton, they use Google Classroom, and that's not like class in the school. And so you can see that those needs aren't being met. They're gonna step back onto the lower needs. And that's where you might see a lot of anxiety in the family, stress. Am I gonna get paid this week or not? And then the kids might start feeling that stress. So what's important is just look at it and renegotiate where you can find those needs being met. Outside the household, enough food. You can get, we do have a social service division at Department of Human Services, and we give out food when needed.
Thank you, Stephen. Those are all great points. Absolutely. Whenever there is anything that upset our world and kind of make us feel like the rug has been pulled out from under us, it really throws us off. And so everything that you've shared helps us to know that we can kind of get more control back into our lives.
On that note, do you have any tips from a problem-solving point of view, how parents can, or children or teens work with problem-solving to get through this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yes, absolutely, because it's very important for families to realize that they do have some control and there are things that they can do. So I would start with families, remember who you are. And that life has been difficult in the past and you got through it. So I like to tell families to first, have the teenagers and the children have some responsibility because kids are so capable. you know, and they will learn and grow with everything that we throw at them. And so, you know, and kids and teens, don't let your parents give you all the answer, but let them help, but don't let them give you all the answers, okay? Um, so first of all, I like to have kids figure out, okay, what is the problem? You know, what exactly is the problem? And think about it. And then come up with maybe 3 to 5 solutions to the problem. List them, write them down. And then just go through it. Does this make sense? Does this really fit? Does this solution fit the problem? And then choose one. Have that confidence within yourself and choose one solution. If that does not work, remember you came up with 3 or 5. You know, I like to tell kids. So just choose another one. But you know what? What if it does work? How amazing would that be? That would feel good. That'll help kids to know that they do have a say, they do have some control, and they can have a positive effect on themselves and their lives. And then for parents, I more will ask the parents to put in some time management so that there will be more structure in the home, especially if the schools are hybrid or if it's distance learning completely. You can still put structure in the home. You know, try to mimic what the children have when they go to school. So, you know, maybe they won't sleep until noon, but you won't have them wake up at 6 in the morning either. You know, you definitely give each other some breaks. And so maybe the kids will get up at 8 or 9. And then they can start their schoolwork. They have breakfast, they have schoolwork, then they have a break for playtime or art. So in other words, just make your own schedule that is helpful to you and your family is what I like to tell parents. Have a to-do list. You can use a calendar or your phone so that you schedule things the way you would if you were at work or if the kids were in school and they had a doctor's appointment. Just schedule your day and the day for the kids, because remember, the more in control that parents feel, the children also feel a sense of control. But if they see that, you know, mom and dad are feeling very anxious and, you know, not able to control things, kids are so smart and they pick up on the least little thing, you know. So try to be in as much control as you can be. You are human, and that's another lesson for kids, you know, that sometimes you do get nervous and worried, but you go to problem solving, time management, and put structure in, and then everything calms down a bit. So the other advice for parents would be to definitely have friends and family that I like to call you can tap out with. You know, sometimes when things gets overwhelming and it's too stressful, it's nice to have someone to call, someone that is a good listener, someone that'll talk to you and hear you. So, you know, also self-care, have self-compassion, the same love and understanding and forgiveness and care that you give to the children, do that for yourself, because that'll help you to be calmer, feel better, feel more in control. And that way, you then, when you work with your children, you won't put that stress onto them because you've already taken care of yourself. You know, self-care, anything that helps you to relax is very important. Stephen, can you give a specific example from a work that you've done with children?
Well, in a general way, problem solving, as you mentioned, is very important, especially for the parents, because if the child or teenager knows the parent's schedule, say they're home, they're doing remote learning, the parents have to identify with what schedule is going to work for them and the child or teen. And when the community members told me some about that was working for them, the kids kind of more relaxed. You are going to go back to the hierarchy of needs where the kids aren't going to feel very perhaps safe with the remote learning. So what do, you know? And you just take them where they're at first. You got to problem solve, like where can they chill out, where can they calm down. Some kids might be stressed, they don't want to do the homework. So I think you go through those steps with what you mentioned about problem solving. And I think what's important for a parent is not to panic. Like as I said before, renegotiate what's working best for my child related to remote learning or going back to school. And to always have that line out to members in your support group. I can't reiterate that, so you don't feel so alone in the house, that you can call someone and just talk it out with someone. Maybe they have some ideas about, or maybe they're going through the same thing that you're going through. I think that most people didn't realize that a lot of families were struggling with the same issues, but no one's communicating.
That's right. And having support is so important to all of us. We're human beings and we need that social connection.
Yeah.
So having that support, whether it's virtual or verbally by phone, is still very important.
Yeah.
And thank you. Thank you, Stephen. So we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, Stephen and I will share 2 therapeutic approaches that will help in staying strong mentally and physically as we get through this COVID-19. Thank you.
There was an old woman who lived in a shoe. She had so many children, she didn't know what to do. She gave them some broth without any bread and kissed them all soundly and put them to bed. Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org.
Hello, and welcome back to Groton Human Services Family Talk. I'm Therese Alexander-Ssebagala, and I'm here with my colleague, Stephen Pulaski. And we are going to discuss with you 2 therapeutic approaches, and that will help you to stay strong in mind and body. So the first one is cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT for short. Now, CBT tells us, as you know, Stephen, CBT tells us that this is all happening in our mind, and what happens in our mind affect how we respond physiologically. And so we have something that's triggering us right now in our world, and that's COVID-19, social distancing. And so that's our trigger. And it causes us to have certain thoughts. The thoughts will affect us emotionally, and that emotion will cause us to behave in a certain way. So CBT is action, something happens, we have a thought, which is usually negative, and then it affects us emotionally. And that emotion causes us to act out in different ways, and parents, think of what's happening with your children, and you'll see what we're talking about. Something happens, they have a certain thought, and then they feel sad or worried or afraid, and then they act out. Adults do that too, right? So one of the things that CBT teaches us is to change the thought. Once you get to know yourself, so if something happens, it's going to cause worry or anger or fear, then that's getting to know yourself. And so you expect that certain things are going to happen if a certain event occurs.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you know yourself, then you can prepare to take good care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So CBT tells us to change negative thoughts to positive thoughts. So a negative thought can cause us to have fear. A positive thought will cause us to have hope and cause us to feel a bit more in control of a situation. You know, so and that takes us right back to problem solving and structure. And so doing all of these things helps us to realize that we have hope and that we can accomplish something in the middle of this pandemic, something positive and helpful to us and our families. And so this would lead to more positive behaviors, more helpful behaviors, more healthful behaviors. So it's a matter of the self-talk that we have with ourselves, that positive self-talk. For example, okay, I know something's wrong, but you know what? I can get through this. I have, and you can make a list of the people who are in your corner. You know, I have these people in my corner that can help me. I have my children, or the children may say, I have my mom, or I have my dad. I have my puppy. I have my kitten. You know, all of these things that we love and that love us. This is what we tell ourselves to help us to feel safe and to help us to be calmer. And those are the positive thoughts. And that helps us to move forward in a more, should I say, more focused way, a calmer way, and a more problem-solving way. And so I wonder, I bet you have an example from the work that you do, or you know, what would you like to share?
Well, you know, the whole, I think of it cognitive behavioral therapy in the acronym of TEB, you know, so thought, emotion, behavior, right? So again, I want to reiterate that this is not the normal that we used to live with. So you're going to have anxiety, you're going to have worries every day, you know, till this thing gets over. But what's important from a CBT point of view, that we have all those thoughts, right? I just mentioned a few. And you'd be like at a river, but you don't have to pay attention to that thought, say, that causes worry. You can just say, okay, what's the next thought? You know, you just be with your thoughts. You don't have to react to the thought. And what's important from the CBT point of view is that it's giving you options so you can feel more, say, encouraged or more patient, say, about, say, your child's coming home on a school bus from school. You might have very horrible thoughts, scary thoughts about that, because does somebody have COVID-19 asymptomatically in the bus? You know, we don't know that. See, just let that thought go by. And you say, okay, I'm looking forward to see my child coming home. That's the new thought. So my point again, that's going to cause a feeling of hope, or a feeling of anticipation that you're looking for your child to come home. And your behavior is going to feel less stressed. So I think in a confined way with children, teens, and parents is that you just let the thoughts go by the river and then say, no, that's the thought I really want to have right now. And if there's something that is stressful, you say, okay, what can I bring in this thought to make it not so stressful? And that really works. A lot of times what we do is we try to control the thought. You can't control thoughts. You can only react to them. So what I've been doing and teaching some kids and parents is let the thought go by and find a thought that leads you to a more happier self.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And that goes in mindfulness, I think, right?
Yes, it sure does. Thank you for that, Stephen. Now, dialectical behavioral therapy, or DBT, teaches us all about mindfulness. Now, DBT has 4 core values: mindfulness, distress tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness, and emotion regulation. And so today we will focus on mindfulness. And so what mindfulness does is it teaches us again, to get to know our body, get to know ourselves, how our body react to different triggers. And a trigger could be a person, it could be an event, it could be a thing. It really teaches us how our bodies react to it. So we're getting to know ourselves. COVID-19 and social distancing, it could be something that causes our heart to race. It causes negative thoughts and feeling hopeless and overwhelmed. And so being mindful means that you're in the present, you're putting yourself in the present, and you're just recognizing what's happening in your mind and in your body. It's not telling you to do anything about it. It's just telling you to get to know yourself and how your body reacts to certain things. So once you're very much aware of that, then you can move to the next step. So Stephen and I would like to show you some mindfulness meditation that we find helpful, our clients find very helpful, and so we're going to go through that with you right now. The first thing is really a breathing exercise. Wouldn't you agree, Stephen, that our breath is and the way we breathe is so important, right?
Yep.
Because when we are feeling anxious, we have shallow breathing, so we're not taking in a deep enough breath to bring healthy oxygen to our brain, and we're not slowing down our heart rate. So that's where anxiety, that's what it does to us. And that's why you can feel dizzy, or you might even pass out and faint. However, if you're able to be mindful and know when certain things will affect you and how, then you can start practicing your breathing.
Right.
And so I like to, when I work with my clients, I like to ask them to breathe in for a count to 4 and breathe out for a count to 8. So it's just 4 times 2. You double it. And so I usually ask people to sit in a quiet place. It could be at a park, it could be indoors or outdoors, and just be in a nice quiet place and just regulate your breathing. Meditation, mindfulness meditation, is very helpful when you wake in the mornings. Have a meditation where you set your intention for the day or your goals for the day. And at bedtime, it helps you to relax and sometimes kind of cancels out the rapid thinking and the worries. And so at bedtime, I recommend a muscle relaxation. So I will go through that once, and you can do this every day. And okay, so the example of mindfulness breathing in for 4 and exhaling for 8 would be, ready? Okay. And you would do that about 3 times. Breathe in and breathe out. Inhale for a count to 4 and exhale for a count to 8. The exhale is very important because once you get all the breath out, that's when you feel that dip where you feel more relaxed and you feel your heart rate will slow and you can have more control over your nervous system. And so breathe in for 4, nice big deep breath where you feel your stomach filling up with air, and then you exhale for 8. At night, muscle relaxation goes along with that breathing. So you start to relax your muscles from toes all the way up to your temple. Just feel your muscles relax, and that usually helps to induce good sleep. And Stephen, please help me here and give an example of something you like to have your clients do around mindfulness and mindfulness meditation.
Well, we work with children from 5 to 18 years old, so, and even with parents in the session. Well, there's this one quicker breath. It goes like this. You say, thank you for my breath, and then you're going to breathe it in. You're going to hold it for 2 seconds, and then breathe it out. So what I usually tell parents or kids is that when you breathe it out, you can breathe out your stress.
Mm.
And what that does is slows down your heartbeat, and then it slows down your nervous system, and it kind of distracts you away from the thoughts that are causing the stress. So you just go, thank you for my breath. 1, 2, and then you blow out all your stress. And you do it 3 times.
Mm.
And you can just feel your body relaxing. It just works. And you also have to remember, I think, generally, that when we're in mindfulness, it kind of distracts us from the thoughts, right? It allows us to be in that moment, say at the river again. We're just watching the river. And you become mindful of who you are. And one of the things I'll tell kids is this: they could draw,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
they could take a walk with a pet dog, with their dog, or they do some type of hobby that's fun. Some kids like this to go on swing sets or likes to play soccer in the backyard.
Thank you.
Any of those type of things will reduce the anxiety that distracts you from mindfulness. You want to go back to mindful things to help you get back into your zone, so to speak.
Thank you, Stephen. Well, that's our time for today. Thank you for spending time with us. And please look us up on our Groton Human Services Facebook page and also the Town of Groton Facebook page and website. We will have more suggestions for you in the future. And in the meantime, don't forget, if you're in need of food, please call us. We are able to help. Please call our main number at 860-441-6760. And also, if you have a child that is age 5 to 18, we are able to provide temporary counseling for 3 months. And also, you would call the same number to have that service. And if you're a parent who would like to have some parenting advice and someone to talk to around parenting your child at this time, please also get in touch with us. And that number is 860-441-6760. And that's our time for today. And thank you so much. And be well.